All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Chris Anderson Comics. I am joined today by my good friend, Ryan Browne. Ryan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's nice to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, too. We're both a couple of weirdos in this business that is full of weirdos, so that is saying something.
Yeah.
I think that you and I always had a bit of a connection because we just love strange and bizarre things and put it into our work and wear it like proudly on our sleeves.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been a person that wanted to make a comic that would adapt to be like a perfect movie of men in suits having conversations,
Yeah.
or guys with machine guns shooting each other. Like that's not. I want the unlimited imagination special effects budget of a comic book. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it.
Yeah. I mean, to a degree, there's been times when both of us have done those kinds of books as like a work for hire thing or whatever, but
it's real boring.
Yeah, it turns into a snooze fest for us
pretty
quickly. So when I asked you to come on and I asked you to do like your gene pool episode of a book that inspired you or hooked its claws in you at some point during your journey to become the Ryan Browne that we all know, you picked Scud, the Disposable Assassin, #1, and I was thrilled when you picked that one because I think that this is definitely on my radar too. How did you come across this? What's the story here?
Wizard Magazine. That's a Wizard Magazine one, and I think it was for a lot of people. It was in the 90s, towards the end of the black and white boom. So like it was past all Ninja Turtle stuff. It was self-published by Fireman Press, and it was 95, 96, something like that. It was a very formative time for me, like because I really loved drawing, and it's around the same time as Dark Horse was doing fun Hellboy Sin City stuff and Milk and Cheese, and like that there was like this shift in comics away from just dark superheroes to like original stories and strange imaginative worlds. And Scud had this kind of surreal energy to it that like really connected with me. Almost like these characters who were thought of as they thought of the pun for the name first and then figure out, well, what would that look like? And then it had like immediate like Hollywood buzz and stuff around it, and like it was like a big indie like super hit. And it like was clearly very referential to like Tarantino movies at the time and Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, but then also just like total absurd surrealist, characters that were just like, we're just gonna make these out of whatever we find in the back room. We're gonna staple it together and that's the character, and so to me, like that was. I mean, it's probably the most important comic to me in terms of learning, like a different way to use your creativity in comics. Like Scud alone, just having the suggested voice talent and the soundtrack for every issue was just like, it really expanded the way that comics could be made for me, and also the way that Rob Schrab and eventually Dan Harmon, the way they were using sound effects was a big one too. So like everything you see in God Hates Astronauts, a lot of that was stolen from Scud, and it was just like, I want to do what Scud is doing. Because after Scud was gone, nobody was really doing it that way. And I don't know if it's totally forgotten, but it was just so so unique, and then there was just nothing ever again like it.
Yeah. Yeah, there really wasn't. I can remember, when it came out, it must have been like 95. It must have been like 95 that it came out. I think by 96, I was sort of like more, my guitar had taken over by that time. And so I wasn't like picking up as many comics as usual. And Image was just turned into trash, at that point, after, the excitement of Spawn and Youngblood and all that stuff. And then it just immediately just kind of deteriorated after that. And so I was kind of like, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. And plus at that point I knew for a fact that I was going to be a comic book artist. This is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I'm going to make millions of dollars like these guys. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
And after the crash, it was sort of like, oh God, you mean like they're not putting anything out and you can't make a living doing this? What the hell am I going to do now? So I think like this was just like the last gasp of books that I was buying at the time. And it was super important to me in the same way, because it was probably this and like maybe Milk and Cheese and Madman were probably the like the independent comics that I first picked up, because you would see like 8-Ball and Hate and things like that on the stand, but it just didn't do anything for me for whatever reason. But this did. I think it was because it was a step away from superhero comics and zany at the same time, and it was like this perfect premise also. So if we like look at the first issue, he drops you right in, which is great. I love a comic that trusts the audience to go along for the ride and just drops you kind of right in,
And this issue has the there's the classic line is you start your book with someone saying no time to explain, just follow me, kind of thing. I love that kind of thing where it's just like usually when you're jumped right into the action, and then maybe you don't really understand what all that means, and then later you can have it kind of your understanding of what all the stuff meant and who the characters were, like changes how you saw that scene. But this issue is really interesting, and I've never done any actual research about this book besides what I was buying whenever it would come out and reading in Wizard magazine. Like that was pre-internet stuff. So but this first issue, like the art and lettering is not so good. And then there's like a considerable level up on issue 2, which is exactly what happened to me on God Hates Astronauts, because I did that first issue and then I shopped it around for a year and trying to get a publisher, and then eventually it was like, I guess I'll make another one, so it wasn't like I went straight into it. So I wonder if the story of this book was doing this first issue, trying to get it published, trying for a long time, and then eventually doing it themselves, and then Rob became a better artist, and the craft in general is just so much better, starting with issue 2. They did put out I remember they did put out a color version of issue 1.
Yeah.
That? Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yep. And is it in here? Oh, no, it's not.
I don't think it looked very good. I have it somewhere.
Yeah, no, it doesn't need to be in color. This does not need to be in color. He spent so much time too putting down those screen tones and stuff. Like those are real screen tones. They're not pre-digital shit. So
yeah, I have one page of original art from Scud.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Have you seen them?
I've seen them. I have a friend who has some.
Yeah, so they're on vellum. He inked on vellum, like a vellum overlay.
Yeah.
Which I also did when I started. Like I learned that at a convention talking to Jeff Darrow at the time. Me wanting to, beat Jeff Darrow when I grew up, and seeing some of his originals on vellum and asking him about it, and then him being like, I pencil on the sheet of board, and then you tape the vellum to it, which is like 90% transparent, maybe. It's a little bit of a gray. And then you just kind of ink on that. And it's like a different surface. And then at the end, you've got a sheet of vellum that's kind of translucent with your inks on it. And then you got the pencil as a separate board. So like, that's how I drew the first issue of God Hates Astronauts, but that's how he was doing Scud. And the art is so strange because his panel borders were done with some sort of tape. They're like some sort of weird thin, like roll-on black tape for his panel borders. It's really, and then like gutters were also sometimes drawn in with like a whiteout that was like a corrective tape, almost like you draw with like a really strange tool set that it feels very amateur and DIY and like super like like it's not how they do it in art school. It's how they do it when you are working in an office and stealing the supplies to draw your comics.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because pre-internet, I don't know about you, but I had no idea what size I was supposed to draw anything on. No. I didn't know how you got those borders so crisp and clean. I had no clue.
I mean, how were you supposed to know?
Yeah, and I'm assuming that he sort of went through maybe the same kind of thing, and just was figuring stuff out and trying. He was, especially in these first issues, he's trying so many different things. Every single page and every single layout is bizarre, but sometimes works really well.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, this is how I was making comics when I was in, middle school and high school. And, you didn't really have, it would be like, oh man, this company is making comic book art boards. You can buy them now, like at the comic shop, and then you can draw on them, and it's like really big. And so I drew all these comics really big, but I didn't have any way of, I didn't have a scanner or anything.
Right.
Like, I don't know what my plan. Like I know I made some. There was a way you could copy on a photocopy machine and scale it while it was copying it. And so I made like zines that way. But it was really like there's no one telling you how to do these things.
No.
And at that time you probably couldn't afford the machinery you needed to like make these things,
and it's crazy too, because I think somewhere I have my pages that I brought, my sample work that I brought to like the 1992 Chicago Comic-Con.
Oh man, I was there too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I think I'm in my studio. I think I have some of that original God Hates Astronauts art somewhere.
Oh yeah.
It'd be kind of fun to look at.
Yeah, it would be. But I brought these pages that were massive, and they were the wrong size, way wrong. And I remember showing them to like Denny O'Neil and Dick Giordano, and them saying, "Oh, this is great stuff." It was, it was 1992, so they didn't give a shit. They just needed bodies because comics were flying off the shelf at that point.
Yeah. Can you hit a deadline? I know.
Yeah, right. And not once did any of them. They gave me like the Marvel tryout script and like the DC tryout script. I got those, but I didn't ever. They never once were like
any of those.
They were never once like, "Hey kid, you're drawing it the wrong size." Like, wouldn't that have been helpful information?
I don't know. They figure it out for you, right? Like, if you have the chops, we'll figure it out.
I guess, yeah.
No. Oh, this is kind of a fun one.
Here, let me pull you up on the feature screen.
Here's a fun one. So this is, I only have one of these. This is the original God Hates Astronauts. Was the name of my senior show that I did in art school. I put on a senior show with a bunch of illustration friends, and my illustration friends were Paula Rivera, Joe Quinones, R. Kiku Johnson, who are all working in comics today. We all put on a solo show, and a couple of our other friends that work in like video games. But I put together this, which I made Xeroxing 11 by 17. So I used the computer lab and stuff to like take these terrible comics and here you go. Take these terrible comics and then, you know, Xerox them, and then they had like a long arm stapler at the FedEx or whatever, and yeah, they're all like really terrible, but like these were all comics I was doing my senior year of college. I did this one that has to be sideways. It was just two drawings, and I just changed the dialogue. I had no idea how to letter, and or use Photoshop, so I was like just figuring it out.
Sometimes there's really great charm to that, though, when you see somebody just trying to figure things out.
Yeah, it was just me wanting to like be doing Scud. I found these, but I didn't find the. These are original God Hates Astronauts pages from issue 1 that I did while I lived in my parents' house on Blue Line Pro artboard.
Oh yeah, that stuff sucked up that ink so shittily.
And so sometimes I would get bored and like ink on there, but I did all the inks on the vellum overlays. But like these are all from issue 1.
That's wild.
Yeah. There's some good stuff here. Oh yeah, and then before I found the Blue Line Pro stuff, I was doing it on these larger pages. I didn't understand what a bleed was, so I didn't accommodate a bleed or anything. But that's the first page of God Hates Astronauts. You can see I was like writing in dialogue that I might letter in there while I was drawing it.
So you're like what, 19 or something when you're doing this?
No, I was 25.
Oh, okay.
I was 25 when I was doing that. Yeah. I don't know. I wanted to be like a painter, and so I would draw comics for fun, like silly fun. But whenever I would do art, I would be like serious art, and you know, specifically painting. I love painting and figure drawing, and so I would do a lot of that when I would do art, and then I would do silly cartoons and stuff, and then I would read comics, but. It wasn't until I was in high school that I started making some comics, but in terms of like the language of comics, I didn't really start figuring it out until I was in college. I took an independent study with David Mazzucchelli, and he taught me a lot about storytelling, and so that's when I started getting really into the storytelling aspect of making comics more than like the rendering stuff.
Right. It has to be clear first more than anything, right? And then
you can tell a great comic with a circle and a triangle, you know, as long as you can emote with them and, you know which character is which, you know, like you could it's just like the magic of comics, of like sequential drawings that actually tell a story and make you feel a certain way.
See, that's the thing too. I think that another thing that sort of like ties us together a little bit, because we want to tell bizarre, fun, weird stories. But the thing that under all of that, you can be as bizarre and as weird as you want, but if you're not communicating that story well enough, you're going to lose people so fast.
Yeah.
And I think I have a fascination, a need to learn more about storytelling all the time, visual storytelling, you know. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you went down that road too, and especially with Mazzucchelli as an instructor, that had to be invaluable.
Yeah, I mean his whole class was just about storytelling, and I remember like I took 2 semesters of it. And the first one was his normal class, and the second was he did an independent study with me so that I could because all I wanted to do was do comics by the time I was a senior in college. But he wouldn't teach the class to sophomores, so you had to be a junior or a senior. And he said because he didn't he wasn't going to talk to you about like your ability to draw,
Right.
So he only wanted to be dealing with people that had been through a lot of the base
The fundamentals.
fundamentals. Yeah, right before, if they were struggling too much to draw, that wasn't what he was trying to teach.
Yeah.
But he did. There was one time I was working on a comic, and I it was kind of superhero adjacent, and I remember he was like, the figure drawing was not great, and then he was like, can I draw on this for a second? I'm like, sure. And then he erased his arm and then drew in an arm, and it was just like Daredevil, born again arm.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It was like cool
to see that just happen right in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, man.
That had to be friggin' awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. He was awesome.
Well, Rob Schrab, when he was doing this, definitely could have probably used a Mazzucchelli one-on-one lesson. But the thing is with this book too is it was so easy. It's so simple, especially the first issue. And yeah, his drawing chops aren't there, but it's basically like, all right, there's this corporation. They have this thing. It needs to be dealt with. It's this experiment gone wrong. And he's telling this, underling, this is Mr. Spider God is the, head of the company, get rid of this thing. And so the next thing you see is he walks up to this vending machine with this very simple design thing. It says Scud, drops in a coin, and out comes this thing, with this broken heart on its chest. And it says, so who's the job? And so you basically are kind of told a little bit here that this is, a vending machine that has an assassin for hire in it. Mm-hmm. Like what puts this little disc in its hand, and now it knows where it needs to go to this mannequin factory.
For some reason.
Isn't this the strangest splash too?
Yeah.
And that it also is bound by, in
a frame.
Yeah. So yeah, he's ready to go. And there's all these movie one-liners, he's just kind of I don't really want to write this thing. I'm just going to make it cheesy with all these movie one-liners.
I mean, that's what I did too. I had so many movie quotes in God Hates Astronauts just for myself. And
I wonder how old he was when he did this.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
I don't know, but it's probably younger than when I was making that bad God Hates Astronauts issue.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah, so then you see these handprints, these bloody handprints on the ground. You got all these just little moments of him just kind of paused with the gun in the air, which is I think that was an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the storytelling's fun.
Yeah,
there's a lot of creativity and energy in this.
Yeah,
and it's all the edges are extremely rough, and that's totally fine.
Absolutely,
you can understand what's happening. So
yeah, and the design is so simple for this guy. He's got a pill head. It's just so easy.
Yeah.
So he finds this bloody person on the ground. It's been beat to shit, and these tentacles come, and then you get this silhouette of whatever is coming, and you finally get to see it. And it's this creature that's got a giant plug for a head. It's got a squid that's belted to its body. It's got mouse traps on its hands. It's got hands for feet and mouths on the knees. It's just this psychedelic, bizarre thing. And the second that I saw that, I went, this comic is for me.
Yeah, it's incredible. What a design.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
And so this is the thing that he has to kill because it's eating into profits for the company by eating cabbage, I guess it said, or something. Too much cabbage. And it gets into a fight with it, and the fights are pretty fun. It's he's shooting at it, beating it up and stuff. It squirts ink in his face.
Yeah, and the onomatopoeia was like something that you weren't seeing in other comics at this time. Like
Right.
it was just really, really great and really fun and just such a part of the art.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes just overly descriptive.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Yeah, it was something that you really didn't see except for in like early undergrounds and stuff like that in that way. It was
Yeah.
the big two had slick stuff.
Yeah.
That was taped on or pasted onto it, and this is right on the artwork.
Right. And then, so much of that 80s black and white boom was just all incredibly derivative stuff that was very fun to look at now because of like it being kind of primitive art and like completely people that had no idea what they were doing, but then they were somehow selling 100,000 copies or of this thing that was just like a complete knockoff of something else that was made by people who didn't know what they were doing. And so like for this to be so imaginative and unique and so DIY is really rare.
Yeah.
Because so much of that stuff was just, it was funny how badly made it was. This one has a lot of rough edges, but it still holds up as a great comic.
It does. I hadn't read it since probably, I don't know, like it came out. I have like the first, I don't know, like 8 issues or something like that back home. I had to download this, but it actually works because then I can zoom on things. But
yeah,
it really does still hold up pretty well. So as he goes, he's he's fighting this thing. Eventually, like starts to hurt it a little bit, and then it takes off. I love this where it kind of like runs and flips over this thing and starts like using its hand feet to
and forces you to read the opposite direction that you used to. And
I mean,
it still works. It's great.
Yeah, he like obviously thought about leading the eye, which is interesting that he's that sophisticated enough to know about that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it was all just a fight until you get to the very end here, where he goes to like wash the ink off his face, and he sees this thing, and it says, "Attention, Scud Disposable Robot Assassin, Heartbreaker Series 1373. This unit will self-destruct upon termination of target." And then he said this great like, "Excuse me," little panel in there, little reaction, and he's just like, oh my god. So he's down, breaks the mirror, screw this. So he goes out and basically he finds his target. He knows now if he kills it, he's going to self-destruct. He starts snapping off his fingers into the gun.
Yeah. Using his fingers as bullets. It's very strange.
So weird. And then he puts it back. He gets it in the crossfires here. He puts the label, behind him to know, so what he's thinking about. And
I thought that original art is really interesting because, like, clearly he photocopied that in there, and the drawing. It's great.
Yeah, and must have just cut around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's using splatter here. It's obviously was looking at Jay Lee of the era. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And basically he just kind of like leaves it. He calls for an ambulance. I love though the coin has like Barney on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, that's right. And he just basically leaves it limbless and calls, and then it gets put into this lab where this doctor's gonna be able to keep it alive so that he doesn't die. And it's gonna cost him, says, how much is it gonna run me? 3 francs. Oh, I guess I'd better find another job. So that basically sets up the premise for everything else, that he's this disposable assassin. It's a one and done thing. It kills somebody, then it self-destructs, but he sees the label on his back, keeps this thing alive, and goes off on more adventures. Like, so simple, so easy.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, when he really does level up, you know, by the second issue. His line is totally different.
Yeah. It's,
you know,
definitely more refined. He's learned to draw a lot better.
yeah.
Yeah, it's more balanced, and it's more like overall appealing to the eye, you know.
Yeah. There's backgrounds.
Yeah.
Some backgrounds, not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by him because it was years later, I think, that I saw like the credits of a Rick and Morty episode, and I was like, Rob Schrab, is that the same guy that did Scud? And went back and was like, oh my God, like he's had a career since Scud. I was wondering what happened to this guy.
Yeah, he directed a lot of television. You know, usually you would figure out how to have weird puppets and stuff. And you know, like he directed episodes of the Sarah Silverman program or whatever. And he had this with Dan Harmon. They had started this thing called Channel 101 in LA. Did you ever go to that?
I did not, because I didn't know about it.
Yeah, it sounds really fun. Where it's basically you make shorts, and then you go and people show up with shorts, and you get voted on whether people like it or not. And if you get a certain approval rating, then you're asked to make the next episode in your short, or it gets canceled. And so then they would have them all online, so I'd watch them all the time. But it was just like all this absurdism. That was really like, you know, shot on video, like quick, easy, dirty stuff with weird props and like just kind of pure imagination that sometimes didn't work. Mostly didn't work, but you know, at times like they would come up with like a silly gag that would propel it to have like 5 episodes of some dumb idea. You know, it's great stuff.
Man, I love it. Yeah, he seems just like the kind of guy who, you know, follows his whims and follows them to success, and you know, that's sort of how I've been running my life too. So
yeah, I mean, he's either Wisconsin or Minnesota. I think Minnesota, maybe. I'm having to remember things that I learned like in Wizard magazine.
Right.
You know, like it's not like I've as an adult been like, I'm gonna learn the exact story of what happened here. But I think there was a lot of bad stuff, negative stuff happened with the whole Hollywood side of things. Did manage to have a Sega Saturn game. There's a Sega Saturn video game for Scud.
Is that right? I did not know that.
It's really weird.
Wow.
But yeah, that actually happened. Like he went from indie comic to that because at the time it was, you know, it was a hot, you know, Hollywood property kind of thing that just, I think, kind of went into some sort of weird development hell. But I know that it in general ended up being not a great experience towards the end for him. And the series just kind of ended abruptly. And then he came back in like 2007 or 2008 and made 4 oversized final issues. One of which I have a pinup in, which was my greatest accomplishment. Yeah, I'd done this pinup, and I sent it to him via Facebook, maybe. And he said a bunch of nice things about how well drawn it was. And then he asked if he could run it, and I said yes. And then he ran it in issue like 27 or something of Scud. It might be my first ever published work.
Really?
And he didn't put my name on it. My name's not on it anymore. So yeah, I have the issue somewhere. It was one of the final 4 issues. I think it was the first of the final 4 issues, or maybe the second. He ran a pinup, and it's like Scud and Drywall, and they're battling like octopi jellyfish mashups or something. That was a legitimate thrill, and I love being like slightly a part of you know, the history of Scud in a very tiny way. but he did spin-off books. He did Tales from the Vending Machine, which I was always loved, which was just side stories from the Scud universe that other artists were drawing. And then the Oswald and Drywall show, and so they had a handful, and I think Fireman Press had a handful of other books that they published. But yeah, it was Schrab and Dan Harmon. I don't know when Harmon started writing. I think maybe for issue 2. Again, these are all things that I don't really remember. It was just such a it was such a big deal.
Yeah.
I mail ordered it away for one of the shirts and the back of one of the issues and stuff. And,
is that right?
Yeah.
There's this whole shebang book.
Yes. Yeah.
That I borrowed from a friend, but since we were just going to look at number 1, I didn't want to totally destroy his corner. But that's a thick sucker.
Yeah, it's gone through multiple printings, and it keeps having to different covers and stuff. I still have this dream of one day, bothering Rob to see if I could draw something, do something in the Scud world. But
that would be amazing.
Since I don't actually know him, I don't know how that would be received in any way. So, so I never have. But I was talking. Scotty Young is also a enormous Scud fan. So
also makes sense.
We've talked about Scud a couple times, and we've talked about how amazing it would be to do something Scud. And there's a bunch of us that really, this was a really formative thing, but I feel like it's mostly forgotten. I don't know if it's getting if anyone under the age of 40 knows about this.
Right. I think it just had its 30th anniversary, so I saw some things popping up for a little while about it, again. But you said you think he's from Minnesota?
I know he's Midwest.
Okay.
Seeley knows him. Tim Seeley knows him.
Oh, yeah.
Has talked with him before.
Okay.
I think he's either Minnesota or Wisconsin.
Okay. So. Interesting. Yeah, and I'm sure that I'm in Studio City. I'm from Minnesota, but I'm in Studio City, California now. I'm sure he doesn't live too far away from here. Probably I know some people in the industry. I wonder if I can figure out how to get a hold of them for us.
Yeah, let's do it.
Anderson and Browne are going to reboot Scud for you.
Wouldn't it be great? We could just do a Tales from the Vending Machine or something.
Totally.
Just do our own little shorts in that world. I think that'd be great.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. Well, thanks for making me go back and reread these. Not making me.
I like making you. I think that's good.
Yeah,
that's a good way to say it.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I read them, and God, I loved them so much. It was such a standout book, and I'm glad that that's what you picked. So,
yeah,
awesome, man.
Right on, dude.
Well, thanks for coming on and talking about this Gene Pool episode. Lucky Devils is out right now. I think issue 4 is coming soon.
Soon, yeah. It's being printed. I think it comes out, if it's not the last Wednesday in July, it's the second to last Wednesday in July. It's coming out this month.
Okay.
Issue 4, and then a second printing of issue 3. So
sweet. Jeez, that's great.
So yeah.
And where else can people find you on the webs?
I don't use it too much. I think I'm trying to get back into using Instagram again, but I'm Ryan Browne Art on Instagram, but Browne with an E, because there's another Ryan Browne without an E who is a cover painter. I think he's Irish. I don't know. I've never met him. But he's also on Instagram at Ryan Browne Art, but the E is all the difference. And also our stuff is very different. We don't do the same things.
Yeah.
He's a good painter. He's cool.
Well, you can always remember that it's got an E at the end because Silent E, right, is the name of you and Charles Soule's company, which I think is absolutely perfect. This like dashed E, because both of you have a silent E at the end of your name. So
yeah. I think we've just both lived lives of being called Brownie and Soleil or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. All right, man. Well, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you later.
Yep, sounds great.
All right. Join my Patreon to see my work before anyone else, plus score physical sketchbooks, mini comics, and commissions delivered right to your door, and reading my new books, Something Seems Off and Three-Headed Pigman, as they are made. Go to my website to order original art, commissions, and my books, Lost Angels, Spectral: A Showcase of Fear, Chaotic Neutral, and more. Gray Matter Drip, The Art of Chris Anderson is available now from Cosmic Lion Productions. Here are the upcoming conventions I'll be at the time of this recording. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. It helps spread the word. Thanks.